Well, hello. I'm going to be reviewing a view or a submission for a story to add to our story database. I actually am almost ready to implement it. I think I read it over already a little bit, but I'll go ahead and read through this aloud, talk through my thoughts, and then might just get one assistance from the author before I implement it because it looks good. Seems solid. All right. Anyways, outline the magical con man. Interaction: gain escape smoke. Interaction: cons you out of items. Every 4 mile walk you get an interaction with this character dressed as someone else. So most likely this will probably just evolve into like a sequence of any sequence of event triggers with some time delay otherwise. And that's really easy to do. So this is already implemented. That's out of the box. I mean, I can go through the structure now. I don't know if it's like super useful until I can turn the event on. But we'll see. We'll see. We can do that. After third interaction, okay, da-da. So first contact. Oh, hi. Welcome, welcome. That's great. Holds up 2 most valuable blue items. Okay, so then essentially greets you. You kind of have a set of fun responses. I really like, this one coming from the character. Gives us a lot of different angles to go, and like we can also reward like a few vanity, -1, -1 alignment, whatever that might be. I think that's a lot of fun to do. And then this could be like a certain this could be like shadow touched, +1 spiritual, or or even get a card. These are the types of things that even every decision you can probably have, not every, but like there's ways to have fun rewards at the steps, and rewarding the player for choosing a silly option or trying something different. So it takes an item. Most likely we'll have to change it to gold, just because we don't have the item implementation really up and running yet. Change to, so Jeff will change to gold. Taken. Implementation and reward will be gold plus, rare card or item. I also think, varying the reward is a way to kind of get that too. So sort of, we can have a probabilistic outcome and say you have a 10% chance of getting a reward, 10% chance of getting an item, or whatever for cards. And that's great because I think it gives a little bit more replayability. Anyways, take the gold. Okay, don't have time for a fan. Okay, well, this is how busy you are. Hey, that's my item. Give it back. Impressive. Thank you. Well, I'll give it back after you indulge my query for pondering. I see you have been bemoaning. That's, my state of isolation. I have been bemoaning my state of isolation for so long. I need to get a little off my back. A little bit of life back. Perhaps you can be the catalyst to my new renaissance. I like it. Why, indubitably. I like that. I think we have it, the Grandmaster. Tickle. So also, just random thing is like you sometimes tickle the chin. So usually, if you have of the thing in a possessive, you can sometimes shorten it with just using the possessive noun. Anyways, character throws down some smoke and Screech turns to smoke. Only the chat box is visible. Indulgence part 1. My answer questions 3. The cat sat on a mat and was awakened by a titter-tap by a sudden gelatinous mass. I like the rhyming. He goes to observe that indeed the bird has been startled by the absurd. Therefore, what is it best to worship a cat? Where is it best to worship a cat? Pyramid upon. I wish there was kind of some hint. Therefore, where is it best to worship a cat? I wish there was some hint. Like I think this is probably where my biggest question for it would be, how outside of trial and error, is there a way for the reader to understand this? Like, I mean, outside of saying, yeah, in Egypt, they I think worship cats, and maybe that's it. But I'm sure cave dwellers worship cats as well, maybe in some culture. I mean, cats Cats demand worship. So I would say, yeah, I would be kind of curious there. I think also a kitchen is the cat's place of worship, where it gets its food from the silly humans. Anyways, navigate my trifling trail of queries to grant my curiosity. When the Ike of the hour ruled the roots and the brews in the basement merely dream, a law was changed into another regime to help the hops and the barley freely steam, under which leader did the home brewers gain the right to craft their ale without dismaying, let the world enter an alternate new domain. Steve the Earl of Wynn, George the Washing, Ronald the Regular. I like Ronald the Regular, Jimmy the Cart Maker. I mean, is there like some sort of historical fact these tie to? Am I just like really dumb? Let me look. Jimmy the Cart Maker, beer. I'm just gonna Google search that. How Jimmy Carter sparked the craft beer revolution. Is that the Jimmy Carter trivia? That's a deep cut if it's Jimmy Carter. I respect that. That is like really a deep cut. I might have some sort of hint. Anyways, let's see the third question. In the realm where the tiny ones dwell in the dragon's room from Misty Fell, a visionary took the helm to capture epic tales that swell. Who helmed the saga of this sphere with the whole where towers and kings and eagles do fly and fate intertwine, guiding us through each storyline? Peter the Pictorial, Stephen the Seer. Yeah, so who did Epic Tales? Peter the Pictorial. I don't know if I've heard of this person either. So again, I think these are like great rhymes, really fun questions, but I don't know if I could answer them. Peter the Pictorial Tales, Epic Tales. Let's Google that, see if we can find Peter and the Wolf, Peter Randall. Yeah. I love the riddles. I love the rhyme. I just think that it's almost a little too arbitrary, where I feel like if I was the player, I would have to guess rather than with the context from the question, I'd be able to solve it. So in that vein, you can see I have the thing out here. I'm going to go ahead and implement most of this. I'm going to leave it as deactivated until I can, fully demo it. And I'm going to go ahead and screen share so you can see the mouse moves I'm making if you have questions. Blah, 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 blah. Monitor share. Let's see. Bink. Okay, great. So I'm here in the, general flow. Oops. General flow, the map events, journey events, which means that there's a few events that happen simultaneously, which is what we have here, right? This is a journey event, and then, just creating a new dialogue. So in here, I'm going to go to new, dialogue events, articy event, and here we go. And this is the questioner, part 1. Or mysterious, yeah, whatever. That doesn't matter. The player doesn't see this bit. This is more for ours. This is from Trent M's event submission. And then what I can do is I can copy the hyperlink to this and put it in here, so I know exactly where I'm getting this from. So now that we've got this event selected, this is a dialogue. I can press F8, or I can right click and go to properties. And here we go. This is where I gotta start putting the event details in, right? So mysterious question. So this is map. We'll probably make this an uncommon event for now, just to see if people like it. We'll have it do like a week cooldown. So that essentially, and it's just still work in progress. So it's not game ready, and then we're gonna set this in what setting? We have all our event settings here, so I'm gonna set it in, I'll just do this pretty one. This pretty background is nice. Yep, this is the start of a journey. And I'm okay with it getting played multiple times. That's why we have that cooldown. So you wait a week before it happens to you again. Okay, so let's jump on in. A mysterious questioner. So from the beginning of the event, I'm going to drag a little line out here. And I'm going to create a dialogue fragment. And I'm using a few things here. So this is probably a bit advanced, but I'm doing this for my own ease. where I do want to make a. So essentially, the character we're using is called the Wealthy Seeker, and this is kind of this mysterious looking dude here. But I can change that person's name to like a kind of default mysterious person name. And this I'm going to do by, and this is probably too advanced. I'm happy to help with this if needed. So I'm going to set a property. I'm going to pull up this character. So in my character entities file here, I see my Wealthy Seeker, and I have like 2 versions of them, right? But I want to do the first one, this bougie boy. And then his, I think it's a Boolean value. And it is bool 1, I think, to true. And so I can go back and check. I have Wealthy Seeker. Oh, yeah, so we'll do create instructions. So now I set that bool 1 to true. And then I can, it'll say like mysterious person, right? And this is advanced. You don't have to remember this. It's just much more for information. So I say, hey, what is his special name? And his condition named 3 is strange seeker. So we're using this condition 3 variable bool 2, and that should work just fine. And I'm gonna, at the end of the event, I'm gonna set it back to false just for my own sanity. I think it does it automatically with these, but I'm very OCD, so deal with it, and that's how I'm going to do it. All right. So great. So that's done. So it'll say, instead of Wealthy Seeker, it'll say Strange Seeker when he comes to question me. So let's go back to Trent's outline and get his first line. Oi, you there. Do I have expressions on this guy? No, just neutral. Okay. Oi, you there. So sorry to bother. So again, I'm gonna do some like little revisions here because, you know, it's fun to spice things up a little bit. So I think like you don't have to have bother. So sorry to bother. He's a little fancy, you know. You can cut off some of the. So sorry to bother, but it's not often I come to. It's not option. The grand adventurer. But it's rare that I come across. So again, just not often, as much as I can shrink and combine multiple words into one more precise word. I'm generally going to do that. It's not a big deal, though, that I come across such a grand seeker. So all the kind of magical people are seeker like yourself. All the seeker, or all the like magical people in the world are called seekers. That's fine, though. So we have 4 choices, or 5 almost. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to click on this little node here, and it's going to give me an option to split into a bunch of dialogue fragments, which is what I'm going to do. And then I can put in my response. So 01 POV character, that's the main character. And then I can just write in my responses here. And so these are pretty long. They probably won't fit all in this. So I'm going to have to do some pretty focus shortening here. And I will have to close this up in like, a few minutes, but I think I can finish this. Don't have time for this. I think I don't need to restate the question because it comes. I can say silently. Someone acknowledges my greatness. So then this will be meh expression. This will be a happy expression. Finally, comma, someone acknowledges my greatness. Excellent, excellent. And then I'm going to set this to the same speaker. I'm going to say sound because it's hard for someone to look like a voice, sound like the voices. Oh, more dark voices in my head. So I'm just going to make it a little bit more active rather than kind of, and just imply that, hey, This character is representing themselves as a little kooky. Takes a bite of apple. And then so for this one, because it's a narrator, I'm going to use 0, 0. And then I will add the one more node for high. So now I can add this particular speaker dialogue fragment. And then I'm going to say, and this will just be neutral. All right. So we got that up. So I do want to add a little bit of flavor here. So I'm going to do a notification here. Shadow touched. One spiritualist action point. Action variables, spiritualist plus equals 1, and that means we add a new one. And then I'm even going to add a card, maybe. Maybe. No, I don't know. That's fine. That's fine for now. Then I'll have this guy say, not a voice, sir, but a friend. But an adversary. All right. Stretch that out over there. I really don't have time for this. And then we can make this one leave early, right? Farewell. And so this can be the leave early option. And so for this one, we'll have to go to the go event, and we're going to change the event behavior. So we're going to say, now I'm not finishing the event before anymore. Leave early. And so in here, I'm going to go to the properties, or press F8. So I'm going to click on this dialogue fragments property, or this fragments properties. Boodly 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 bop. And now I'm going to say marked as incomplete. And I'm going to leave the final cooldown as a week. So I won't mess with the cooldown, and I think this was a week. I'm just going to do it here for sanity, but that's fine. Okay. I know I'm going fast, but I feel like just watching a video like this and absorbing it gets you halfway there. Finally, someone acknowledges my greatness. All right. So I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to do here. So I want to rejoin things with, like, Puff and Flash. Actually, I don't think we're going to have leave early here. I think this needs to be somewhere else or not at all. Seems like this is going to be a forced moment here, so... No time for a fan. Great enough for a little... very little, So then I'm joining all these in together on one. So, right, so these are just the line-by-line moments that are going to happen. Oh yeah, and then we're going to have this one do like a little a little flavor text too. So I'm gonna bump this up. So this one will be so in this I can add, player variables, which is where alignment is. Alignment minus equals 1 to mean, hey, you got a little bit to the dark side here. And this will come up as a notification bar. Beep. What am I doing on time? I got a meeting in a little bit, so I'm trying to go relatively expediently. Bite of apple and non. So I think that can connect with the note time for a fan. And I'll say hello indeed. Prepare to test your wits. What? Alright, so now we have a join point here. And we can continue with the story. Phones later, the strange man. And so the only thing we're going to do here is I'm going to use a glossary entry, because if we change the name of currency, glossary.currency name standard. Now I can do this second choice here, which is right over here. And then we'll make this one angry. Make this one I think angry works as well. Step back now. Go over here. So this will be 02 or 00. Keep walking. Okay, so then from here, if I leave early, I'll have to do a few things, right? So I think here I can leave early, but I do want to make the gold disappear. So here I'm going to do grant gold, and this is, we have an index of these. We'll do minus 50 gold. And so what we'll do is I'm actually going to add a notification one here. Say, and this will join back up to here. Just so that doesn't look weird. slide it all this way. Excellent. And so if I'm just going to lose my gold and keep walking and not want to deal with this guy, I'll say, okay, change his name back to normal and leave early. And I'll say, you know, like, oh, but it's not over yet. I think he has like kind of like my questions 3, right? Is kind of how it's done. I've been bemoaning my state. If you indulge, I'll tune your gold. If you I'll tune your gold and more. I think we can promise. You indulge my query. So I'll just copy this over here, then revise it in here. It's kind of a long line. I have bemoaned my state of isolation for too long. I need a bit of life. Bit of life back. You will be. So it's not perhaps, right? Because he's already decided that it's going to be me. At least for my new renaissance. And then I can say, I can have a few little fun options here. And then I'll have this go to like question 1. Give a little like illusion of choice here to the player. These all are joining back in. Oh, someone's pinging me. Phone, stop yelling at me. Oh man, mute. Question the first. And rather than start a new event here, I'll let them answer one question before it goes to the next one. cat had a hat and sat on a map. The cat sat on a map. Was awakened by tender hand by a sudden gelatinous mass. He goes to observe that indeed the bird has been startled by the absurd. So maybe it's like a verse 2 almost. Aye, come on. Thank you. Sorry, my computer's getting old. Indeed, the bird has been startled by the absurd. Therefore, where is it best to worship God? I do think these ones still need a... Like, I think the riddles, I'll probably rely on you to think through a way to kind of resolve or to think through these things. Pyramid. Because I feel like the answers do feel a little arbitrary still. And I know my cat would worship in a kitchen. I would even worship my cat in a kitchen by giving it offerings of my food. So, you know. That would be my guess if I was like playing this raw. So I know you have it like bouncing out of this, but I still think that even if you get one of the questions wrong, the seekers should reappear and you should have some fun interactions with them after the event. And so I know since this is a concluding event, I'm going to go ahead and reset it to the general name and then bounce out like that. And so this one I'll say, a wise mind to go with your fame. Wonderful. Now a reward. Whet your appetite. Huh. Did I spelled that right? Oh well. And so now I'll have him give me just like a little simple reward. So I'll do like first reward, 25 gold, gain 25 gold. I'll do like gain like 40 gold, and so I'm just going to do the insight boost cards. These are kind of, so if I go to inventory, grant, I can grant a card here. And here's where I can kind of see all the cards. Ooh, I did gold. Never mind. I misclicked. Let's go to API, inventory, grant, cards. Interesting, there's a cards end use now. We'll do intelligence boost. And we'll do 2. We said 2, right? So this will be like maybe the cheapest reward. Send to clipboard, no comments. And then exit, and then paste. And then I'm gonna do grant gold. 40 is what I said, I think. Okay, cool. And so that will happen on the player side. Then it'll tell me about my reward, and then it will leave. And then we can create another dialogue for the next phase of the event. Oops, I actually want to do this though. And we can have logic and say, oh, hey, if you answer the first question right, maybe in event 2, he'll say something a little bit different than if you answered it incorrectly. Like maybe, like, are you ready for another chance? Like that's all something we can do with these variables, turn them off and on and go from there. So the last thing, I only have a few minutes left before my next call. Why is mine go with your fame now? Reward to what your appetite. All right. I can just have him like, you know. Be even lazier. Just have this all. Vanishes. Okay. I know smoke was a theme there. Cool. And then so essentially we'll go back to the journey event, and then we can do a sequential event. So at this dialogue, you know, this kind of dialogue scene level, I'll create another dialogue event, which is, you know, and then it will wait for this event, because of this arrow, it'll wait for this event to be complete. So like if they leave early, it'll start them back at the beginning before moving on to the next phase. And then we can write our notes, right? Like, so we can say, oh, you know, eventually can have more dynamic in part 1, right? And so in here, we'll say kind of your next question. So they move. So we'll say dialogue fragment. And so we can even reference the existing biome, so whatever they're in. So we'll do, is it biome? Biome name, yes. So then I can say I'm walking through the biome name, and a puff smoke blooms in front of me. And then I can go make sure that he's set back to his like special name, remember? So we set his name to be Mysterious Questioner. This references the character ID, so I'm just going to grab that. And then plop that here and set it to true. So this will just say, hey, make sure that we, you know, set him to true. And then before this event is over, we'll set it back to false, just in case we use that character asset in another event between here and it doesn't blow someone's mind too much. But yeah, and then we'll say, you know, question the second, you know. So mysterious, or so we'll do it's wealthy seeker, I think is the one. Yeah. Like, hey, I know you. You again? Or I want my money back. And then he'll just keep going with the question, just ignoring the poor player. This one too, navigate my cracket when. And then we can just copy pasta this. Come on now. My computer's being so laggy lately, but it's what it is. It's getting old. And I can bring this in and then we can revise it. I probably don't have the bandwidth to revise this right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an annotation for myself and say left off revision here. Okay, so this is important if you're ever working in Articy. Let me pull up my Articy draft view. So in order to save and upload my changes, I have to exit Articy completely. I have to wait for it to close because it's very finicky. And then I'm going to open up a terminal view and upload this to the GitHub repository. And I'm going to add this real quick so you can see. Yeah, here we go. So then I'm going to add this to the repository here, which I'm going to say, I'm going to first go to CD Documents, GitHub, and Articy. So this is the folder that has my repository. I'm going to add my changes. So I'm going to type git add dot for everything. And it'll add those changes. I'm going to say git commit, and then I'm going to do -m for a message. I'm going to say part 1 of Trent's event revision. And then git push to push it up into the repo. And then I'll get a notification, and I can even do git push again, make sure nothing's going wrong, everything up to date, and so we're good to go. So that's the basics. I hope that's helpful. I sadly gotta run like right now, but yeah, that's how to kind of do the event stuff, and I'm looking forward to getting your thoughts and feedback and going from there. Bye bye.